What's up everybody, Jared here with carbuzz.com, and today I am out braving 100+ degree heat for you so that I can bring you a review of this new 2023 Cadillac Escalade V. This is the new high performance version of the Escalade. They have never done an Escalade like this before. They've never done any full-size SUV quite like this before, so I'm really excited to show it to you. We're gonna start on the outside, where the Escalade V gets a lot of its appearance from the Escalade Sport trim, which is great. You've got this black mesh grille that looks super sporty. You've got the Escala-inspired headlight design. The lower fascia is a little bit different on this V model than we're going to see on a standard Escalade. Of course, you've got to be a little bit differentiated when you're spending this much of a premium on the V model. We've got this gorgeous red. Unfortunately, I don't know the name of it. We don't really have like all the full specs on this drive, but this red is absolutely gorgeous. We had a bunch of white and black ones as well, but I think the red is by far the best looking color, although they tell me there's going to be a green available, so I'm very curious about that. We've got unique 22-inch dark gray wheels for the V specifically, so these are different than the wheels you're gonna get on a different Escalade. You also have 6-piston Brembo brake calipers finished in red. You need a lot more stopping power. We'll talk a little bit more about that out on the road. You get this big V logo here on the door. Now this is the regular standard wheelbase version of the Escalade, so it's exactly the same length as a regular Escalade. You can also get the Escalade V as the extended wheelbase ESV model, which I will show you a little bit later in this video. Now here at the back, the Escalade V gets a very different lower bumper treatment than what you're getting on a standard Escalade. This is pretty much the same. The taillights, maybe the spoiler is a little bit more aggressive. You've got your V logo there, but this is where the magic really happens down here. These are quad tips. It is a dual exhaust, and they have done a lot of work to this exhaust to make sure it sounds incredible. This is one of the best sounding SUVs you will ever hear. I'm sorry, there's a plane behind me. We're filming right outside of an airport, which is a little bit annoying. But the regular Escalade kind of has like a fake area here and you don't see the exhaust. Cadillac's engineers had to fight to make sure that these exhausts were visible and loud. And oh my gosh, I cannot wait to show you what they sound like out on the road. But I'm gonna give you a small taste of it with a cold start. So now I've switched to this ESV model to show you the interior because that red one has been cooking out in the sun for a while. So this is the one we're going to be showing all the interior on. It's a lot longer significantly than the standard wheelbase model. You have more between the wheelbase that is going to go towards your rear legroom, your third row legroom, and the amount of space behind it as well. I also wanted to give you a good look at the key. It looks like Cadillac has kind of copied Dodge here with a red key fob, although this is nice painted red. It's not just plastic as well. I can also give you a good sample of the remote start. We can hear that beautiful exhaust. Oh! That sounds absolutely incredible. And we'll go ahead and shut it off, and I can go, whoo, there's another one. And I can go ahead and show you the cargo space. So just like the standard Escalade, you tap on the badge. That's gonna go ahead and open up your power liftgate. And as you can see, massive amount of storage here on this ESV model. You get a ton of space between the third row and the back here. So if you want to have 3 rows up and still have cargo space, I recommend getting the ESV. We do have powered seats here. They are extremely quick. Look how quickly these drop down. That is one of the fastest drop downs of any power seat you're ever gonna see. Push the buttons again. You do have to hold them and they come up really quick. Look at that, super quick. I absolutely love that. And now I can show you the rear seats. The door handles are a bit interesting. You just push a button on the other side. You don't actually pull them. Oh, I don't know why the rear doors wouldn't open, but let's go ahead. There we go. And when you open it up, you get your power running board as well, which is quite nice. So very easy to step on in. So we'll check out the second row first. I'll give you the wide angle shot. We've got the captain's chairs here. All Escalade Vs have the platinum interior, meaning that you get this really nice stitching in there as well. We've got these quite nice TV screens here. I think I need to fire it up properly, so let's go ahead and do that first, actually. Let's go ahead and make sure it's fully on. There we go. All right, now I can show you those rear screens properly. So again, captain's chairs. We've got the rear entertainment, which now has like Hulu and stuff on it, which is quite nice. It didn't used to have that before. It used to just be like for HDMI. So that is a nice upgrade over there, that it can, you know, use Hulu, and then your kids can get out and finish what they're watching at home, or vice versa, which is quite nice. Your kids are going to have their own climate controls, heated seats in the second row, no ventilated seats like you can get on the Grand Wagoneer, which is a little bit disappointing. You have all of your HDMI ports. You also have USB-Cs down there for charging devices, and you have your pop-out cup holders down here as well. Now, each of these seats has an armrest, which is quite nice, and there's plenty of space when you get the captain's chairs here to pass through and get into the third row. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that you don't want to do that. There is another way to get in. You just pull this, and that's going to lower it down like this, and then you pull it again, and now it tips forward. Now, that's not great if you have a child seat, but it does give you a ton of room with which to get into the third row. So we do have 3 full seats, and because we have the ESV, you're going to see that you have plenty of room. This seat is all the way back, and I still have a little bit of knee room. We have a decent amount of headroom as well. We also have USB-Cs back here, and there's a little button that if you just go ahead and push that, you can now fold this seat. I think you have to like push it, there you go, and tap it. So you can push this electronic button to get out a little bit easier from here, and then you would just pull this tab to get it to fold up into that position. So that's the back seat. We're gonna go ahead and check out the front seat, because there's a decent amount to talk about there. As I mentioned, the nicest interior that you can get on an Escalade is what you'll find here. They didn't like make it tacky. They didn't put carbon fiber or Alcantara or anything like overtly sporty red accents or anything like that. They wanted to keep it a proper Escalade, and I'm actually pretty happy with that decision. These seats are great. They're heated, ventilated, and they have massage. We also have speakers in the headrest as part of a 36 speaker AKG audio system, which is among the best that I've ever sampled. We also have 38 inches of curved OLED display that is 8K resolution. You heard me correctly, 8K. So double the resolution of 4K. You can see right now we have it showing the augmented reality. So this will show you what's in front of you, and it'll give you turn-by-turn navigation on that. Now, using this screen, you can have your trip information over here, or you can use that to change what's on here. You can have a night vision camera that I can't show you because it's obviously daylight out. You can have a full color map. Just go ahead and wait for that to load. So if you have your music up on this, you can have your full color map here. Or if you just want it plain and simple, you can have your gauges there. Now, this screen is also quite massive. It is a touch screen. It's got kind of this cool curve to it. The space down here is a little bit wasted, but it is a really nice screen. You get wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. You get these fantastic cameras that you can see around the car. They are super high resolution, very easy to see everything that's down there. You can also control that screen using this rotating knob, but I honestly don't really love doing that. I prefer to use the touchscreen. We have a V button that is specific to the V model, so you will not find that on a normal Escalade. I'll talk about a little bit more about what that does a little bit later. We've got a decent amount of space here. We've got cup holders, a little bit of storage here. You can close that lid. We've got this zebra wood, which is pretty cool. I really like how that feels. It's very nice. You've got a little bit more storage down there as well on either side, and a pretty sizable center console here where you can put your headsets, your AKG Cadillac headsets for that rear entertainment. We also have a panoramic roof. I can go ahead and show you that. Let's open up that real big. We also have our digital rear view camera, which is great if you've got kids in the third row and you need better visibility out of there. And we do have Super Cruise as well. So as denoted by this little light sensor here and the little camera sensor here. So this vehicle is capable of driving hands-free on certain marked highways. So I'm really impressed with this interior. It is super gorgeous in here, just like a regular Escalade. But the whole reason why you buy a V is for what's under the hood. So I'm gonna give you a brief look before we get it out on the road. 6.2 liter supercharged V8 engine, very similar to the one you get in the Cadillac CT5V Blackwing, but I'd rather not show you. Let's go ahead and get it out on the road to see what this puppy can do. All right, so now let's get the new Escalade V out on the road to see how it drives. Now, I've already given you a tour of the exterior and the interior of this car, so now it's time to talk about what they've done to the V to make it special compared to a normal Escalade. Starting with the engine. So the normal Escalade gets either a 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8 with 420 horsepower, or you can get an inline six diesel, but the V model gets the same LT4 6.2 liter supercharged V8 that you get in the Cadillac CT5V Blackwing and you used to get in the old C7 Corvette Z06. And this is a monster of an engine, but they've actually added a larger TVS supercharger. It's 2.65 liter supercharger to funnel even more air into that V8, generating 682 horsepower and 653 pound-feet of torque. So I believe that is the most horsepower and torque that they have gotten out of this engine in any General Motors application, which is pretty crazy to think about. Even more power than the Z06 Corvette had. Now, all of that power is going to go out through a 10-speed automatic transmission, just like it does in the standard Escalade, but it is going to go out through a very different all-wheel drive system. Whereas the normal Escalade has like a very conventional body-on-frame truck four-wheel drive system where you're either in rear-wheel drive or you're in four-wheel drive high or four-wheel drive low. This is more of an all-wheel drive system than a four-wheel drive system, so it is constantly in all-wheel drive. It defaults to 50-50. I believe Cadillac's engineers have told me that it can send about 70% of that power to the rear. You can actually like change that with different settings. There's like a snow mode that'll lock it into 50-50. But there's no like full rear wheel drive mode where you can just rip crazy burnouts, unfortunately. And in addition to the crazy power, we also have some improvements to the ride and handling. So we have 6-piston Brembo brakes up front. When you have this much power in this big of a vehicle, you need to be able to stop it. So thankfully there are Brembo brakes there. And we also, just like the standard Escalade, have standard magnetic ride control. GM's magnetic ride control is outstanding. It rides so smooth, and when you put it into its sporty settings, it really controls the ride and handling of this car magnificently. We also have air ride adaptive suspension, adding to the comfort of this car. Now, I've spoken with Cadillac's engineers about how they wanted to tune that for the V application, and they were adamant that they didn't want to erase the comfort that you should expect from an Escalade. So based on the about an hour and a half that I've been driving this car over mostly smooth highways, but we've been on a couple of rough road surfaces, I can tell you that the V feels just as comfortable as a standard Escalade. So if you're worried about, oh, I'm not sure if I want the high performance model because I want it to be like a very comfortable ride, I can safely tell you that this still feels outstandingly comfortable. Now, we do have a selectable V mode. Now, this is where the V starts to differ from a regular Escalade. You can change up the steering. There are a couple different modes for that. So you have like sport, tour, suspension, same thing, engine and transmission. You have different modes for that. As I mentioned, the all-wheel drive system, you have different modes as well, and engine sound and brake feel. And all of those culminate to create an experience that when you push that V mode, turns into a completely different animal from a normal Escalade. And I mentioned earlier that the Escalade V is going to be shipping with Super Cruise, so I just wanted to take a brief moment to talk about it. I've shown it to you before in previous videos, but Super Cruise is my favorite driver assist technology right now. As long as you are on a marked 2-lane highway that is divided in the middle, you can activate Super Cruise. You'll see the little green light here on the steering wheel, and you can drive completely with your hands off the wheel. This is one of only a few systems that can do this right now, and it will also lane change for you automatically. You can do that yourself by using the turn signals, or I was actually driving in the left lane and it deemed that I wasn't really going fast enough, or I didn't really need to be in the left lane, so it moved me over to the right lane automatically. And if you're with your family on a long road trip in your Escalade, this really just takes a lot of the load off of the driving, and you will end up at your destination a little bit more relaxed, not having to do the steering. I'm really impressed with Super Cruise, and it just keeps getting better with each passing generation. All right, so I've just selected the V mode button. I have all of the settings in their most aggressive with the steering, the suspension, the engine sound, and the all-wheel drive system. And as I mentioned, the V just completely transforms the Escalade. Listen to this. It gets ferociously loud. Oh, it crackles and pops. Oh man, it makes such a good noise. All right, so as promised, I've found an open stretch of road, so I have it in V mode, foot on the brake, foot on the gas, and let's see it launch. Whoa! Oh, as I said earlier, those shifts are something else. It's crazy how quick this gets off the line, and I honestly have to say, I've tried a couple times. That wasn't even the full launch control. It's supposed to blink a traction control light at me to let me know that launch control is enabled. That launch was absolutely savage, and it wasn't even launch control. I'll try one more time later in this video to get it done, but if not, even without launch control, this thing is savage. All right, so now I've just pressed the V button, and we are going to see how that transforms the Escalade into a completely different beast. So I'm going to slow down just a little bit here, so we're not going too crazy speeds here. You get some burbling from the exhaust. All right, ready? Listen. Oh my God, this 10-speed automatic rips shifts, just pop, pop, pop. It's like a whip cracking. I love this 10-speed automatic. That exhaust is fantastic, and I spoke to the engineers about this. They really went through like great efforts to make sure that that sound was perfect, but not like too overbearing. So it's very different than like a Durango Hellcat, which is really like the closest thing I can really compare this to. That is just a pile of supercharger whine. All you hear is ee! This has that throaty V8 noise, oh, that you'd expect from like a Corvette. And they did that by like deleting the center resonator, so it's basically like a straight pipe. You basically have full dual flow exhausts. It just sounds incredible, and as we saw earlier, those shoot out to some real quad tips that go all the way out to the bumper. It's not fake like some other automakers do. Yeah, the sound of this, oh my God, is incredible, and the rest of V mode is really well calibrated too. The steering tightens up, the suspension firms up, the braking feel definitely changes as well. You get a more immediate feeling on that brake pedal as well. I'm hoping if the road straightens out a little bit and we can get far enough ahead of the traffic that I can kind of show you a launch control, because GM says that this Escalade, all this heft, can hit 60 miles an hour in about 4.4 seconds. That's in the standard length model. You're gonna be about 4.5 seconds if you get the ESV, like the one we're driving, and you should be able to complete the quarter mile in just 12.74 seconds. In an Escalade. Can you honestly believe that? It is so crazy to believe that they made an Escalade that goes this fast and sounds that good. I haven't even put it in manual mode to see how that feels yet. Let's try that out real quick. Oh yes, super rapid shifts, downshifts, little slower on the downshifts. General Motors transmissions typically are a little bit quicker on the ups. Oh my God, just bang like that. Almost as quick as like a dual clutch PDK on that upshift. Downshift, little slower. But yeah, that's the Escalade V. This is an absolutely incredible experience. You can go ahead and put it back in drive, put it back in V, and now it's an Escalade again. It's crazy. You're basically getting two cars in one. Your big, comfy family cruiser and your crazy muscle sports car. It's really amazing that this car can kind of just do both things so well, but Cadillac has really blended it perfectly, and I'm very impressed with how the Escalade V drives. All right, so that was the 2023 Cadillac Escalade V. Let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below, but I'm gonna summarize it. There's nothing else like this on the market, and nor has there ever been. You get all the comfort, all the luxury, all the premium appeal that you get from the Cadillac Escalade, now mixed with the sporty flavor of the V department. It's so crazy. It is so much different than like a Dodge Durango Hellcat in terms of comfort and refinement. It's absolutely great. And if you have the money to spend on this and you can afford the massive amounts of gasoline that you're going to have to put in it, I say go for it. Honestly, you know, if you're that wealthy, go ahead, and it's gonna cost you quite a lot. It's 150 grand base. That's gonna get you the shorty version of the Escalade V. If you want the extended wheelbase ESV version, which I kind of think you might wanna go for, like it adds a lot of practicality, that's about $3,000 more. And that is a lot of money to spend. You know, you're talking about some German options like the Mercedes GLS 63 AMG, the BMW Alpina XB7, but those don't sound nearly as good as the Escalade. They cannot tow as much, and they don't have as much space. So if you want the biggest, the baddest, the loudest full-size SUV money can buy, there's only one direction to look: Cadillac.